Revenge films.
My aunt, my mom's younger sister, is a toxic parent even from my perspective as her niece. I have two cousins who are older than me. Karen, who is a year older than Nancy, is favored by their parents a lot more. I noticed this when I became old enough to understand what was going on. There was too much difference in the way their mother treated them. So, there was a time my mom and grandma talked to my aunt about this. Then, instead of reflecting on it, parents are humans, so there are likes and dislikes. Someone who has no children like you understand it. A woman is only a woman if she has children. I don't want to be talked down by a big-headed, immature person like you. She got upset, and they weren't able to resolve it. It seems like she was insecure about how her big sister, who is my mom, is prettier than her. So she married before my mom and had a child, felt like she was in a higher position than mom. It doesn't make sense though. Nancy is smarter than Karen and is pretty like mom. My aunt subconsciously related her daughters Nancy and Karen to my mom and her. I think that's what led to how she treats her daughters so differently. As far as I know, Grandma didn't do anything like that to my mom and aunt. Spoiled and selfish, Karen looks fine physically, but I dislike her attitude. On the contrary, I'm good friends with calm, straightforward, and kind Nancy. During the summer of my first year in college, I went to a restaurant with my circle of friends. Nancy happened to be there who finished job hunting and was on her way home. She's my cousin and good friend, Nancy. I introduced her to everyone. Nancy met Bruce there, and not long after, they started dating. I was happy that I became Nancy and Bruce's Cupid, and even thought that they would marry someday. However, I don't know when it started, but Bruce was also dating Karen. Meaning, he was two-timing the sisters. One day, Nancy caught Karen and Bruce kissing and questioned them.
Big sis, I'm sorry, but I can't live without Bruce.
Karen said that while looking happy. Then, Bruce said,
You're independent, so you'll be fine without me. But Karen needs my protection.
Nancy was shocked and broke up with Bruce. Instead of admonishing Karen for snatching Nancy's boyfriend, there's nothing you can do for being dumped, because you're not attractive as a woman.
Let them do whatever they want to.
After that, Kate and Bruce got married, and their furious relatives boycotted the wedding. It seems like there was not many people who attended the wedding. All of Bruce's friends left him. Nancy, who was in despair, rejected the job offer and went to study abroad instead. At first, I was very happy that I became their Cupid. But it resulted to this, so I felt really bad. That's why. I'm sorry you met a bastard like him because of me. To which Nancy kindly replied,
It's not your fault at all. I'll take this as an opportunity to do my best there. Let's keep in touch, okay?
I cried the day of her departure. As expected, her family didn't even so much as send her off at the airport. My grandma, mom, and I were furious. But this time, we just let it be and sent her off ourselves. Then, my family kept in touch with her through letters and emails, but not a word from her real family. 10 years later, Karen and Bruce had 2 children, and they're raising them decently for now. Then, Nancy came back from her studies. She worked as a professional at a major company, married, and now has a child. She came with her husband and son. It's been 10 years since I last met Nancy, and she is now confident because of her experiences. She also looks very bright with the trust and happiness she's built with her family. But with that, she is still very kind and calm as always. We've been in touch for the past 10 years, so it didn't feel like we were apart for so long. We've seen pictures of Nancy's husband, and we've talked to her son via video chat. Her husband is an elite and well-paid, intelligent, and a gentleman. Her son is very adorable. I overheard that when Nancy's family returned, Aunt Madison and Karen were causing trouble. You've caused a lot of trouble to our family, so naturally, you should give us a lot of money.
I was supposed to be happier than Nancy, but why is she rich and living affluently, while I'm having a hard time raising my kids? This is unfair.
I lost in terms of career, salary, and standard of living to Nancy and her husband. I'm pitiful as a man. This is depressing.
I don't know how to respond to all of this. First of all, Karen, Nancy didn't become happy just by playing around. You took away her boyfriend. So she used that adversity to better herself, and that led to happiness. You lived your life centered on appearances, and because of that, Nancy and I had unpleasant experiences. Since you don't care at all, you probably don't understand it. Next, Bruce. Do you remember when you said that Karen needs you because Nancy will be fine without you? That's why Nancy got a higher career and met a partner who is way better than you. Wasn't that bound to happen at some point? As someone who betrayed Nancy, what are you saying? Then, Aunt Madison, you helped Karen and Bruce betray Nancy and even cause trouble to everyone. Why do you still think that Nancy should provide your happiness? When did Nancy even cause any trouble to you when it's the opposite? Because of that, Nancy is always miserable. How can you say that when she's used to your bullying as a reason to work hard? Nancy and her family didn't care at all about her real family and spent their time at our house and at a hotel. Nancy brought us so many souvenirs and told us many stories of her life abroad. Then, as if those stories weren't interesting, her real family came and said, "Why don't you come visit us and came here instead? This is not where you belong. Come home and hand us money. You're making a lot of money abroad, right?" It seems like Aunt's friend showed to them Nancy's Instagram posts. Nancy's house abroad is huge and very gorgeous. And since she married a foreigner, her son is also so adorable. Hearing that information, Aunt Madison boasted Nancy to her friends. But according to Nancy, she has already declared severing connections from them with no communication at all for the past 10 years. That's why, when Aunt and Karen came and said to give them money and treat them as parents, Nancy said with a smile,
When I went to study abroad, you didn't even support me, and you call yourselves my family?
She said with a thunderous voice. They looked at the luxurious souvenirs Nancy gave us, her cute son and elite husband, realized the staggering difference, and went home stunned. The sight was so funny. It's probably not good to compare children, but Nancy and Karen's children were worlds apart. Bruce also went home, as Nancy's husband's successful aura was too bright for him. Nancy never loathed anyone when they were kids, but it was really cool that she fought them off with a good argument.
Some say it's necessary to move in together before marriage, but I would say it's meaningless if your partner consciously hides something or pretends to get along with you. Many of my married couple friends get along very well without moving in together before getting married. In my case, I moved in with my boyfriend before marriage. So when he got a transfer order a year later, we decided to get married and relocate together. I was 28 years old at the time. I quit my job and started my newlywed life, and my husband's company provided accommodation. We wanted to have kids as soon as possible, so we had a discussion and decided that I would be in charge of all the housework while working part-time until I got pregnant. He never complained about anything when we were living together, but his criticism started to grow as soon as we got married. When I pointed it out, he said,
Of course, things will be different after marriage.
After seeing how much he changed after marriage, I told him I didn't see myself staying married with him, let alone having kids. He replied insensibly,
We've only been married for a few years. A divorce will embarrass you, and not me.
I'll admit that I failed to see his true colors before marriage. But then again, how? I wonder if it's even possible to do that. The first time we fought after marriage was about some leftover roasted butternut squash from the night before. I made soup by blending the leftover butternut squash and some caramelized onion.
This is delicious. Tastes like restaurant food.
Really? I'm glad you like it.
How did you make this?
You'll be surprised. So first, I proudly explained to him how I made the soup, but before I could even finish, he frowned and said,
Can you stop using leftovers? I'm already exhausted from work. This kind of dinner is such a letdown.
I had no idea why he would get upset. I've been doing the same thing before we got married. If some meat and potatoes were left from the night before, I would make a casserole for the following evening. If there was a small amount of curry left, I would make a curry fried rice. And if I had fried chicken left, I would turn it into a chicken salad. Before we got married, he enjoyed everything I made with leftovers. But this time, he completely denied the dish as soon as he realized it was made with leftovers. He said,
Eat leftovers for your lunch.
Normally, I would eat the leftovers for lunch when I had no part-time work scheduled. I think it's more economical to use leftovers for dinner. Plus, leftovers usually taste better. So I didn't see any reason to stop using them. As for laundry, I decided to do it every 2 days because we didn't have so many laundries. He said,
Don't be lazy. You should do laundry every day.
we used to do laundry every third day when we were both working before marriage. So I told him I wasn't being lazy, but then he scolded me.
Stop bringing up how things were before we got married. You're just trying to escape from real issues.
As the days went by, conflicts like this occurred more often, and so did the voice in my heart that says, this is not what I wanted. One day when my husband was on a business trip, I left my wedding ring on the table as well as a note that wrote, I need time to think about our marriage, and I moved back to my parents' house. A few days later, he returned from his business trip and saw the note. He rushed to my parents' house. He apologized to my parents, but in a very condescending way.
Maybe I shouldn't have been too strict with her when she's so spoiled and lazy. I'll try to give her more leeway in the future.
My dad replied,
I know my daughter and how big of a decision she had to make to move to a new city with you. Tell me, what did she do to make you think she was spoiled and lazy?
He hesitated after hearing my dad's reply, but soon he started to tell them about my butternut squash leftover soup. My father continued to ask,
Anything else?
Meat and potatoes,
And?
curry,
Is there more?
fried chicken,
And then?
laundry.
I felt so embarrassed listening to him. Then my dad asked,
And which part exactly indicates that she's spoiled and lazy?
my husband replied,
It's such a letdown that she serves those dishes when I come home from work exhausted. She's in charge of our finances, so I expect her to make decent dishes using fresh ingredients. I also want her to stop being lazy about laundry.
My mom was stunned by what my husband said. Then my dad said to my husband,
Your mother needs to hear what you're saying too.
the next day we met at a hotel in the city. What exactly happened?
Well, she became lazy after we got married, so I pointed it out. But she got angry and left home.
What do you mean by lazy? My husband proceeded to tell her about the butternut squash, the leftover dinner I made, and the issue of doing laundry. His mom's reaction was the same as my parents. She said, Are you even listening to yourself? And she added, I think she's doing very well trying to make ends meet. You should be thankful she's treating you so well with the kind of salary you make. It was such a relief to know my mother-in-law thinks the same as the rest of us. As she said, my husband makes about $1,800 a month. There is a year-end bonus, but it's about 1 month's pay. That's why I had to work part-time jobs and save as much as possible before getting pregnant. Using leftovers was always a way to save money. My husband clearly wasn't happy with his mom's comments, and he said,
Indeed, I don't get paid much, but I know how you raised my sister and me by yourself. I've never once seen you slacking off. You took care of everything at home and maintained your job perfectly. I'm not asking my wife to do everything for me. I just want to eat some decent food when I go home.
What do you mean by decent food? Before I could say anything, his mom had already argued back. I've had enough of your stupidity. She said, What's wrong with using leftovers? Do you remember your favorite casserole? I made that with your leftover curry and pasta.
What?
Yep. Fritters were made with leftover vegetables and fried rice with all the leftovers in the fridge. Didn't you like those so much that you always cleaned the plate?
No way. The veggie fritters were from leftovers? The fried rice was a combination of everything? Oh my god.
Well, my paycheck and child benefit barely covered the expenses. I had to save up to send you and your sister to university. You seem to mock the idea of using leftovers, but you grew up eating them. You think you're too good for leftovers now, huh? I also did laundry every third day to wash as many clothes as possible when I ran the washer. I even reused the water from the bathtub. My husband froze and couldn't say anything. Ever since he started to mock me for using leftovers, he always said,
My mom's cooking is incredible. Her casserole can beat any restaurant.
I can only imagine how shocked he was and how difficult for him to process the fact that his favorite foods were all made with leftovers. He started crying and begging for forgiveness. When I returned to my parents' home, I felt I had no feelings left for him anymore. So I told him we were getting a divorce. But his mom started crying too and asked me, "I'm sorry, my son is so stupid and ignorant, but could you give him another chance?" So the divorce was temporarily put on hold. During the following month, he didn't complain about anything. Instead, our conversations became something like,
Did you use the leftovers from yesterday to make today's dinner?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, I knew it! I know you can always think of something. You turned yesterday's leftovers into today's delicious dinner. You're amazing. Just perfect.
Now I don't know how to react to his never-ending compliments.
I got the phone call from my daughter for the first time since my ex-wife and I divorced 5 years ago. She said she wanted to meet and talk, so I went without telling my ex-wife. However, judging by her tone, I felt that this would not be an emotional reunion. Just in case anything unexpected happened, I brought a voice recorder when I went to see my middle school daughter. She was still in elementary school the last time I saw her. I felt emotional when we met because she'd grown up so much. The first thing she said was,
"I'll never forgive you."
I was shocked by what she said, and I couldn't think of any reason for her to say something like this. Before I could say anything, she continued,
"You abandoned Mom and me because you were having an affair. You also never paid any support to us."
After venting all her dissatisfaction, my daughter just left. To find out why my daughter would say something like this, I decided to confront my ex-wife about what she'd been telling my daughter for the past 5 years. When my ex-wife and I were getting divorced, instead of paying support, we agreed to not badmouth or blame each other for the divorce in front of our daughter. Also, there would be a penalty for breaking this agreement. This is why I didn't explain the actual reason for our divorce to my daughter when we met. I was upset with my ex-wife for breaching the contract, so I contacted her immediately. Since we both signed a written and notarized agreement, I asked her to either pay the penalty for violating our agreement or tell the truth to our daughter. Just when I thought it was resolved, I got an angry phone call from my ex-wife. She should have chosen from either of the two options. But she was persistent and kept calling me, and I had no choice but to answer. My ex-wife said she wanted to meet me in person to have a talk and apologize to me. I told her, "You can either choose to pay the fine or explain to our daughter what really happened. I don't need an apology from you." Her response was basically like, "Was that supposed to be a joke? What was the purpose of making an agreement in written form and getting it notarized then?" However, no matter how many times I tried to reason with her, my ex-wife insisted on her ridiculous offer to apologize. So I said, "Since our talk is not going anywhere, I'll speak to my lawyer and let him take care of this." Then she finally agreed to tell the truth to our daughter. It would have been much easier if she'd chosen that option. My daughter said I was having an affair, but it was in fact my ex-wife who cheated on me. Most importantly, I have been paying child support all along. To be honest, I didn't really care about the penalty money. I much preferred that my ex-wife be frank with my daughter and tell her the truth. Later on, my daughter called me to apologize after hearing the truth from the ex-wife and asked me,
"How come you didn't correct me?"
I didn't want to tell my daughter how my ex-wife would become hysterical when something happened, or explain other adult problems we had at the time. So I just told my daughter, "Just because your mother broke the rules doesn't mean I can do the same." She agreed to what I said, then explained to me the reason why she acted that way the other day. My ex-wife had lied to my daughter, saying I didn't pay her any spousal and child support. As a result, my daughter would need to start working after middle school. I was taken aback by my daughter's behavior that day, but I completely understood her at this point. My daughter knew that even university graduates struggle to find a job nowadays, so she was in despair when told she couldn't even go to high school. My daughter didn't know what to do when she was told there wasn't enough money to continue her education when her classmates were all preparing for high school. Naturally, she would want to blame me for not doing my part. I realized that the expression on my daughter's face that day was basically saying,
"Do something, Dad. Help me. This is not what I want my life to be."
Then my daughter said,
"I don't want to live with my mom anymore. I want to live with you, Dad."
It was a big problem that the child support I paid to my ex-wife every month was not spent on my daughter. At the same time, I thought it might be difficult for my teenage daughter to stay with me. After some thought, I suggested she attend a boarding high school, and my daughter was thrilled about my suggestion.
"I'll do it. Yeah, I'm going to high school."
I decided to keep this from my ex-wife for the time being, so I told my daughter, "Don't let your mom know about this. I don't know how she would react." My daughter replied,
"Okay, I won't say a thing."
If my ex-wife knew, she would definitely become hysterical and try to argue with me. To send my daughter off to a boarding school, I decided to stop paying child support to my ex-wife. It was pointless to send child support if it wasn't used for my daughter. My daughter didn't say a word to my ex-wife and was able to pass the entrance exam to the boarding high school. My ex-wife probably thought more money would be in her pocket if my daughter started working after finishing middle school. As soon as my daughter got accepted, she packed the bare minimum and left home. There was nothing to worry about. The boarding school has basic living necessities and provides meals to the students. Even though my daughter hated me at first, she was so happy and excited when she called me.
Thank you, Dad.
I was relieved and happy to hear what she said. As expected, my ex-wife called me when she couldn't contact her daughter and acted hysterically over the phone.
Where is my daughter? She left a note saying she was going to high school and had just disappeared. You must have done something.
Is there a problem? Isn't it normal for her to go to high school?
Don't be ridiculous. She was supposed to start working right after middle school.
You are the one being ridiculous! Where did the child support I sent you every month go to?
Shut up! I don't have enough money. Give me my daughter back.
What kind of mother are you to make your daughter work right after middle school? That's not gonna happen! I'm going to fight for full custody of our daughter!
No, wait. I need my daughter. Give her back.
I have enough evidence to prove that you didn't provide a decent life for our daughter! I hung up when my ex-wife was still talking. I met with my lawyer and did some investigation on my ex-wife. As it turned out, my ex-wife wanted to please the man she cheated with so much that she spent all the child support I paid and my daughter's allowance on him. As a result, my daughter was hardly taken care of. I couldn't forgive my ex-wife for treating my daughter like that. To be honest, I was upset when I saw my daughter acting similarly to my ex-wife. It all made sense when I thought about it later because she was in such a bad environment and feeling lost for her future. After enough evidence was collected, I filed a request for custody transfer. Because my ex-wife lied to my daughter about money to get her to work, the family court decided to transfer full custody to me. When I sued my ex-wife, she cussed.
What did I do to deserve this, you bastard?
To me, it was utterly unacceptable that my ex-wife spent my child support money on someone else. In the end, I got compensation from my ex-wife in addition to full custody of my daughter. After that, my ex-wife lost all her money and got dumped by her lover. She was so behind on her rent that she was about to get forcibly evicted from her apartment. I couldn't care less about what was going to happen to her. Now my daughter is thriving in high school and pursuing her dream. She wants to be a patisserie after she finishes high school. I'm glad that my daughter came to me in the first place. I wouldn't be able to find out the problem my daughter was facing if she didn't contact me. If my daughter was timid, she could have been forced into the path my ex-wife wanted her to follow. In that case, her life would be ruined. My daughter asked me if she could live with me after high school. I know my daughter and I will get closer in the next 3 years. I've started considering moving to a new place so she can come live with me. The name's Max Miller. It's been 5 years since I got married to my college sweetheart, Anna. Anna confessed her feelings to me in our senior year. We dated and got married. Our wedding was right after we graduated, so Anna became a housewife. She took care of our home and our child, so I supported financially. We rented an apartment, and I lessened my allowance to save up to buy our dream house. Just as Anna wanted, before Emma graduated kindergarten, we were close to affording our dream house. Then, when I was away from work, an incident occurred. That day, I went on a business trip and left my wife and daughter at our apartment. When I got out of the shower and rested, my phone rang. It was a call from our neighbor, Mrs. Griffin. The moment I picked the phone up, I was told horrifying news.
Your house is on fire!
Huh?
Fire! There's a fire blazing from your room! Please hurry and come!
It was an unbelievable happening, but
Dad, please come home. Our house is on fire.
I heard Emma's voice from the phone, crying. That's when I realized how serious it was. My heart was pounding and my body was shaking. I put all my things in my travel bag, got into a taxi and left. I was still shaking when I called my boss and explained what happened. As I got closer to our apartment, I saw fire trucks and a crowd of people. There was black smoke escaping the balcony. Emma was with the crowd of people. The Griffin couple and my parents-in-law were there as well. Emma! Are you alright? Where's your mom? Is she alright as well?
It seems your daughter was alone in the house. Where's your wife?
My wife was supposed to be with my daughter at this hour.
Really? There was no one else inside. But we're still searching, so we'll contact you if we find anything.
I think I turned pale. My parents, who were informed,
came 10 minutes after I arrived. But we couldn't confirm Anna's safety and everyone was in chaos. What if she's still in the room? We braced ourselves for the worst, my parents-in-law included. Emma had burns, so she was brought to the hospital by my parents on an ambulance. I called Anna several times to check if she was safe, but she didn't answer. Could it be that she's in there? That's when my phone rang with a display of Anna's name. So I hurriedly accepted the call. Anna, you alright?
Huh? Sorry. My phone was out of battery, so I didn't notice your calls. When I turned it on, it displayed a number of missed calls from you. By the way, did something happen?
I felt relieved to hear Anna's voice, but there was something odd about it. Where are you right now?
Of course I'm at home. Why are you asking me that? Are you doubting me?
No. If you're really at home, then...
Where else do you think I am instead of at home? You have a lot of business trips lately. Isn't that suspicious? Are you cheating on me?
No, I'm not doubting you. Just please, listen to me.
There's a woman with you, isn't there? I can tell.
Well, let me ask you a question. Our apartment is on fire. Are you inside that burning building?
Huh?
What's up? Did something happen? I heard a man's voice say, "Come home immediately!" By the tone of my voice, the people around me knew that I was furious. Everyone looked at me with shocked faces, but I just hung up the phone. Then, my parents-in-law and I went to the hospital where Emma was.
Is Anna alright?
I thought something was off when Anna accused me of cheating, so I recorded our call just in case. My parents-in-law listened to the recording and said, "What kind of a mother leaves her child behind?" When we arrived at Emma's room at the hospital, she looked at us and said,
Dad, I'm so sorry.
and cried. According to Emma's story, after eating, Anna went out for groceries. Evening came, but Anna still didn't come home, and it was getting cold. So Emma turned on the stove and watched TV while curling in a blanket. Emma fell asleep, and the heat from the stove caught onto the blanket, and there was fire. Emma woke up because of the heat and ran out of the room. She went to the Griffin's home and told them what happened. When they went to our apartment, the fire already spread around the room. Mr. Griffin used a fire extinguisher, and Mrs. Griffin called the fire department. Thanks to them, only our room burned. Anna hurriedly came, and upon seeing Emma, she said,
What were you doing? Our house burnt down. Why did you even turn on the stove?
Emma cried, so my parents brought her outside. "You're the one who should be telling us what you were doing! Why did you leave our child alone to cheat on me?"
Cheating? Me? I told you I went out to buy something.
Then my parents-in-law talked to her. We listened to the call you had with Max. Who was that person with you?
Our call? Were you recording it?
It's right here. Then she listened to it. Then she suddenly uttered unintelligible words and admitted that she was cheating, but...
It's your fault. You were always on business trips, so I felt sad.
She blamed me for her behavior. You said that you wanted a house, so I... That's when it happened. Instead of Anna, her father was standing there, in fury. That's enough! While you were away, do you have any idea how Emma felt left in a freezing apartment? Emma is the one who felt alone the most. And you call yourself a parent? Anna didn't have anything to say, so she just shut up. After that, we talked to a lawyer and settlement money was requested. She used up all the money I saved up for our dream house, so that was also requested. It amounted to a huge sum. Fire insurance was able to cover most of the fire damage. But of course, for the remaining amount, we also requested that from Anna. For the following procedures, the lawyer did everything for us. I changed jobs, moved into my parents' home together with my daughter, and we spent time to heal Emma's emotional wounds. Anna's lover was a wealthy man. However, as for Anna, she thought that however much was requested from her, her lover would pay for her. So she thought everything was okay. But her lover investigated her. As a result, it was found out that she had affairs with several other men. So he left her. After that, Anna's parents paid for the whole amount, but Anna was kicked out of the house. She was involved with married men as well. Several wives asked for settlement money from her, and now they're after her. Several months later, the apartment was restored. And on my way home from visiting the owner of our former apartment, I met with my college roommate. He said, then he also told me that Anna had several boyfriends at the same time when we were in college, and according to the rumors, she would choose the one who she'd benefit the most from. I had no idea that she was like that from the start. I was sad at first, but Emma started healing from the fire and started making soup with Mom. That made me feel like every bad thing that happened all went away.
I've been married to my husband for 2 years, and we live close to my in-laws. My in-laws adore my husband's ex-girlfriend. Whenever we had a get-together, they would always bring her up. They would laugh and talk about how beautiful she is and how ugly I am. Typically, any husband would get angry if their wife was insulted, but my husband was different. He would listen and laugh with his family when they were making fun of me, and sometimes even agree with them. That's why I hated having get-togethers with my in-laws. At first, I told my husband, I don't want to go. I've got things to do. And found some excuses so I didn't have to go. But he would say,
Isn't it weird not to show up when there's a get-together at my parents' home? You should be grateful that we're not living with them.
So it didn't work at all. Then I told him, I don't like your family comparing me with your ex-girlfriend. However, my husband misunderstood me and said,
Why? Are you jealous because you'll never be on her level? Is that why you're acting up? It's understandable, I guess. She's beautiful, and you can never be as good no matter how hard you try.
And he would just ignore anything I said. Because it was about my face, I couldn't talk to my parents because they would be shocked. Any parents will be angry if their daughter is called ugly, compared with ex-girlfriends, or laughed at after marriage. Since I couldn't talk to my parents, I asked my friends for help. My friends all said the same thing.
Divorce this bastard already. How could his family talk about his ex-girlfriend at the gatherings? That's a nightmare. And your husband even joins them too? You better get a divorce right away.
To be honest, what my friends said made sense to me. Soon, another family get-together was here. Even though I kept telling my husband I didn't want to go, he ignored my feelings as always and said,
Aren't you my wife? Can't you act like my wife for once?
I snapped after he said that. What he meant by act like my wife was to continue being ridiculed by his family. But I couldn't live like this anymore. I made a decision and went to my in-laws' house. As soon as we arrived, my mother-in-law quickly insulted me by saying, As usual, the way you dress is so lame. Don't you have anything better to wear? My son's ex-girlfriend always looks so fashionable. My husband added,
I know, right? She has such bad taste. I feel embarrassed to walk next to her.
My husband bought me that outfit. After I told him I wanted new clothes, he came back home with some discounted clothes from the supermarket. I was irritated enough at this point. Then my sister-in-law accidentally dropped a picture of my husband and his ex-girlfriend in front of me and said,
Oops, my bad. Can you pick that up? It's important.
My sister-in-law was smirking while I picked up the photo. The ex-girlfriend in the photo looks as pretty as a model. I would probably also brag about how cute she is. Still, it's unacceptable for them to insult me for this reason. After that, my husband's family continued to diss me. Everyone was so excited talking about the ex-girlfriend at the dinner table. They wouldn't stop praising her while criticizing and laughing at me. As usual, my husband didn't bother protecting me at all. He had such a fun time laughing along with his family. He said,
My ex is really cute. When I introduced her to other people, everyone was so jealous.
Do you really have to say that in front of me? I'm sorry I'm not a desirable wife.
Yeah, that's true. Even my friends were envious of me for being your sister when you were with your ex. I was so proud. I wish your ex-girlfriend was your wife. Why did you break up with her? How about you divorce Kaden and marry your ex-girlfriend?
The whole family laughed out loud. I don't know why my husband and his ex-girlfriend broke up, but I guess it was my husband who got dumped because his ex-girlfriend was too beautiful for him. I wondered how long his family would cling to their past glory. At the same time, my feelings towards my husband only grew colder.
You're right. I don't know why we broke up. I shouldn't have broken up with her at all.
Again, the whole family burst with laughter. I placed some papers on the table without saying anything. Their jaws dropped when they saw the papers. His mother started to stutter when she spoke. What does this mean? I replied, Oh, have you never seen this? It's divorce papers. I felt it was a perfect timing for this since you were discussing divorce. Can you please sign it? I passed a pen to my husband. My husband couldn't keep up with the situation and kept looking back and forth between my face and the pen he was holding. My mother-in-law said, "No, we were just joking, Cotton. Don't take it seriously." I replied with a straight face, "You think I'd believe that after listening to all of you praising the ex-girlfriend so much? It's not good for my mental health if things go on like this. So I'm getting a divorce. I don't need or want a husband who laughs when his whole family is criticizing me. Do you get it?" It was my first time arguing back, so everyone looked terrified. My husband didn't want a divorce, so he said,
Sorry, it was just a joke, and it got out of hand, okay?
"Just a joke? I see. To you, it was all just a joke."
I can explain.
Just as your parents said, it's such a pity that you couldn't marry your ex-girlfriend. How about I divorce you and you ask her to marry you instead? See if she cares about you. My husband was at a loss for words, so I turned to my mother-in-law and said, "When they get married, make sure to tell her that your son got divorced because his ex-wife was compared to her so much that the ex-wife couldn't bear it." My mother-in-law's face turned pale instantly. "Oh, and I'm sorry for being such a terrible sister-in-law to you, but don't worry, you'll never see my face again." My sister-in-law just stared at the floor while mumbling something. "How about we all calm down for a second? What do you say?"
Yeah, we can talk it out.
They have been insulting me all this time, so I didn't understand why they were trying to comfort me after I said I wanted a divorce. Everyone tried to convince me to stay, but I left their house right away. My husband didn't sign the divorce papers in the end. Now we live in separate rooms at home. I stopped doing anything for him. I cook for myself, do my laundry, and pretend my husband doesn't exist. He would occasionally check up on me and ask,
Do you want to watch a movie together?
but I still treat him as if he doesn't exist. Because I stopped doing housework for my husband, he always buys food from the convenience store. He either has to do his own laundry or take it to the dry cleaner, which costs him money. If my husband looks like he wants to say something, I'd always ask him, "What, finally made up your mind to sign the papers?" Then he'd always reply,
No. Nothing.
and then runs away. I also have no intentions of keeping ties with his family. Whenever my mother-in-law says, "It was all a joke. You won't divorce my son, right?" I always burst out laughing after hearing that. I'm studying to get my qualification so I can divorce my husband anytime. I'm ready to live independently. Until now, whenever my husband and his family talked about his ex-girlfriend, I always laughed it off in front of them, but cried when I was alone. But now, it's time for my husband to cry. Even if he wants to complain about me not doing any housework, he can't. If he does, I will divorce him. He criticized me so much that he should have just signed the divorce papers. But for some reason, something inside of him awakened when he looked at the divorce papers. One day, he said to me,
Give me another chance. I'll do better and be a good husband.
"It's too late for that." But whatever. His ex-girlfriend broke up with him because she changed her mind. Maybe, he thought,
I'm amazing because I had a cute ex-girlfriend, and then I married you. Be happy about it and respect me.
I guess that's why he disrespected and insulted me after we married. But I wouldn't be taking care of him if he'd filed for divorce. I'm curious to see when he'll finally give up and sign the papers. If he ever objects to me even once, I'll divorce him happily. My name is Lily. I was born handicapped with my leg. When sitting, I look like another normal person. I have a brother named Noah who is 6 years older than me. I got married before my brother, so I did housework chores too. Noah told his fiancée, Arya, about my disability. Hearing that, she said,
She does household chores and work as well? Impressive! I'm proud of her.
She seems to accept me. During the introduction, she said,
I'm an only child, so I've always wanted a younger sister. I'm so happy to have you as my sister. I want to be closer to you.
She asked for my number in front of everyone, so I gave it to her. But I later found out that I shouldn't have done that. Weeks before their marriage, I got a call from Arya. It was her first time calling me since we exchanged numbers. I wonder what it is. Maybe a request for a wedding surprise? I answered the call.
Hey, about the wedding, could you please not come?
She said. I thought I just misheard it, but it was Arya's voice. She sounded so different from her usual self. So cold. What do you mean?
It's fine if it's only Noah and me, but it's embarrassing to have a disabled person like you. So make up a reason to be absent.
I do have a disability with my leg, but it's not obvious at all when sitting, so I don't get why she says that. I was in shock that my mouth remained open. No words came out of my mouth, so she said,
Also, you're working at a prestigious company, so you're making a lot of money, aren't you? Your siblings and Noah is the eldest, so at least $3,000 for the celebratory gift, okay? Also, you seem to go to Europe quite a lot. We're going to Europe for our honeymoon, so take care of the reservations.
She offends me and asks me favors? What side of her was she showing me all along? Listening to her, I got to know her true colors, which made me not want to attend anymore. Okay, I understand. I won't attend the wedding. After hanging up, my anger slowly arose. Proud of me? Who is she to be proud of me? But it's my brother's wedding, so I was automatically invited. I explained to my husband why I was not attending. Then my husband said,
If that's the case, then I won't go either. I can't say my congratulations if she disrespected you. You always do your best when it comes to work and house chores. And you're not hiding anything.
I'm glad he has my back. But I got a hunch when she mentioned about absence, so I recorded our call. I don't understand her actions, so I told ours and her parents about what happened, together with the recording. At first, her parents couldn't believe it at first. But when they heard the recording, they didn't know how to respond. If she just wanted me to be absent, I would have been fine with that, but she asked money and all that, so my feelings were hurt. What's more is that she wants $3,000? Who do you think she is? I got married at an elderly age, but we won't have kids yet and we're saving up. So I don't want to be told what to do with my money. I have savings, but I want kids, so it's for the future. But why does she have to look down on me like that? When my brother and parents heard the recording, What? Noah! What is the meaning of this?
I don't know about this. We don't approve of this woman.
He's their son, so they love him. But of course they got furious and strongly opposed the wedding. If they decide to get married, our parents won't attend and break relations with him. Noah got heartbroken with his blindness in love. Well, she was a great person before that incident, so the more his heart got broken. It seems like he was very shocked with her true colors. Then, Noah gathered everyone to announce to break off their engagement, but Arya opposed.
Why? I didn't do anything wrong. I said that for your own good.
Who told you to do that? I never felt embarrassed of my sister. What do you mean it's for me, when it's for yourself? Don't disrespect my sister. She's not hiding anything or it's embarrassing. If anything, you're embarrassing. Demanding celebratory money and deciding on a price.
I'm glad my brother was in my side just like my husband is. The people around also agreed with Noah's sound arguments that no one opposed. Arya's parents couldn't oppose as well. As a result, her parents apologized on her behalf. They accepted the engagement break-off and the wedding was cancelled. Her parents paid for the expenses, including cancel fees. They also paid for consolation money from Arya's savings. But what I was surprised the most was that Arya's mother was in a wheelchair. The reason why her mother is on a wheelchair is that when Arya and her mother went out for a drive, they got into a car accident. Arya was playing a game on her phone while driving, so her mother warned her. She focused on driving after that, but when her mother slept on the passenger seat, she started playing a game on her phone again. While playing a game, she went off the road and hit a pole. The pole hit the passenger's side and her mother ended up in a wheelchair. For life, Arya didn't tell Noah that it was an accident caused by her negligence. Instead, she told him a different story. When Arya's mother heard the recording, she screamed and cried.
It's your fault! I shouldn't have gave birth to you!
After the accident, your mother didn't blame you.
It seems like Arya was thinking that my disability since birth and her mother's disability due to the accident are different. I got scared of their fight, so I went upstairs. I still heard their voice despite in a different room. I felt pity for her parents. It seems like Arya felt a sense of guilt. She accepted the treatment with open arms. It's more like she wanted to finish it up while she was in shock. It seems like her parents cut ties with her. They demanded cancellation money from Arya, and she ended up in a lot of debt. As for my brother, he got married to a different woman after 2 years. His partner had a hand disability. That's why she understands me and treats me kindly. He told her about my situation and what happened when their relations got serious. Then she cried as if she was the one being hurt. Well, I'm not that mentally weak, so I didn't cry. But I honestly felt happy when she teared up for me. Now we're very close, like real sisters. Arya couldn't get out of debt, so she worked day and night. When I went shopping with my sister-in-law, I saw Arya working as a cashier. Her hair was shaggy with pimples all over her face and looked like she was tired of living. Seeing that, I thought she only has herself to blame. My name is Olivia Moore. I lost my parents when I was young. Ever since, I've been living together with my younger sister who is 6 years younger than me. I wanted to go to high school and university, but because of our financial reasons, I had to give it up. But I didn't want Charlotte to have the same experiences as me, so after graduating middle school, I worked as a garbage collector. I chose it since the pay is good. I also saved up money. Because of that, I was able to send Charlotte to high school and university. Then after graduating university, Charlotte worked at a major corporation. Yes, I covered for the expenses. It was her efforts that got her to the National University. I was proud of her. One day, she told me she's getting married. I'm so happy that Charlotte had found a person whom she could share her life with. I was looking forward to seeing her in a wedding dress. But then Charlotte told me in a sad tone,
Big sis, I think it's better if you don't come to the wedding.
According to Charlotte, her fiancé's parents strongly oppose me from attending the wedding. His parents are also known for being elite aristocrats. They are very concerned about how people will see them. When they learned that I work as a garbage collector, she said, "She is not fit to attend the wedding."
I'm sorry, big sis. I didn't know that's what his parents were like.
It's okay. I don't mind. As long as you're happy.
I'm very sorry. I really wanted you to come.
Charlotte apologized to me in tears. But I was worried that she will marry the son of someone who discriminates people. But I want to support Charlotte's wedding. Then the day of the wedding came. Charlotte is probably very nervous right now in her wedding dress. I wanted to accompany her, I thought. It was a typical weekend for me. Then my phone rang. It was from an unknown number. It was a man's voice. Hello?
Please, come to your sister's wedding at once.
Huh?
Please, hurry up. There's no time.
Who was that? But I couldn't ignore what he said, so I hurried and went to the wedding. When I arrived at the venue... Aren't you Charlotte's sister?
What? The one who collects garbage? What are you wearing?
I was told to come immediately. I thought something happened, so I came here at once. I told Charlotte not to let you attend the wedding. Who called you?
Hurry up and go home. There are politicians and businessmen here. It's rude to dress up dirty.
I don't understand what you're saying, but I just came here because I was called. It seems like there was a misunderstanding, so I'm going home. Just when I was about to go home. Right timing. I will introduce you to everyone. I show you why a low-class person like you should not be with us. Take this opportunity to know your place. Come over here. Then she brought me to where the guests were. Excuse me, everyone. Please lend me your ears. The room went silent and looked at us. This is very embarrassing, but this person is Charlotte's sister, and she's a garbage collector. She's in a whole different world than everyone in this room, so you might not know, but she smells, so I can't let her attend the wedding.
In addition to what my wife said, we're an elite family. It's dreadful how a low-class person's trying to join the family. One more thing, this outfit. To come to a wedding with casual wear? No common sense. That's why middle school graduates are a nuisance. They're uneducated.
The guests gave a sympathetic look, and I couldn't stand being there anymore. Why do I have to be treated badly like this? I can't cry at this point. I don't want the wedding to be ruined because of me. That was when it happened. Charlotte was standing behind me with a furious look I have never seen before. Charlotte? Then she ran up to me and said,
What are you doing to my sister?
It's inappropriate in front of everyone. Hurry and go back.
I'm asking, what are you doing?
Calm down. We're just saying that your sister is not fit for this gathering.
You made fun of her in front of everyone. You're the ones who are unfit.
The way you talk to us, you're a low-class person after all.
We're not low class. My sister gave up school for me. She's a wonderful person who sacrificed her life for me to have a good education. She gave up everything and worked to provide for me. You have no right to make fun of my caring sister. You embarrassed her in front of these people. You're the one who's showing low-class behavior. You're a horrible person.
The groom's parents became overtly upset and started to panic. They didn't expect Charlotte to say that much. Then the groom came.
Olivia, I'm sorry. I was the one who called.
You're the one who called her?
Don't disrespect her, Mom. Honestly, I was having trouble, but looking at this disastrous scene, I decided to break family ties with you.
Huh? What are you saying?
I learned today that Olivia was not invited to the wedding. There was no time, so I called her immediately. I was to tell you about her, but if you still can't accept her into the family, I decided that I would cut ties with you. But before I could explain, you judged her occupation and educational background. You really are horrible people. I will cut ties with you in front of everyone!
What are you doing? Did you forget everything we've done for you?
How dare you openly insult us! I'll sue you for slander!
As a result, the wedding was canceled. Of course, after that, the groom's relative were on his side and was able to cut ties with his parents. Actually, in this event, the chairperson of different companies and business tycoons attended. With their deviant classism, their company image went down. Business partners pulled out one after another, and the company suffered a devastating loss. They used to be board of directors, but lost their position and eventually got fired. They had their livelihood taken away by the business community, and relatives cut ties with them. They received claims of reparation, so they sold their house and moved to a shabby apartment.
This is all your fault!
You said a lot too. While blaming each other, I heard they're about to get a divorce. Liam said that he's glad to be away from them. Charlotte and Liam are happily living together. As for me, one of the company presidents asked me,
Would you like to work at our company?
He told me that he sacrificed his life for his sibling like what I did. I'm thankful to him for sharing his story, but I respectfully declined. That's because I felt fulfilled with my job as a garbage collector. Besides, if I feel ashamed of my work, it's no different with Liam's parents. All my previous efforts would be in vain. Life is still ahead of us. I decided not to make fun of people and continue to live, proud of the work that I do.
One day, my girlfriend and I attended a wedding for my cousin. We'd been together since we were in school, and our parents were both very friendly with my cousin. Hey, how should we go? Should we go by plane?
I'm a bit reluctant to use the plane. I'd rather go by train or by bus.
We could use the Shinkansen, but that's a bit expensive. Or we could use the Red-Eye Express bus, which is inexpensive but takes time.
The express sounds like a good option. We could sleep and probably get there in no time. I'd love to do some sightseeing while we're there, so we could save a bit of money by taking the express.
Okay then, let's do it. With that, we got on the Red-Eye Express and headed to our cousin's wedding ceremony. We got on the bus at the last stop, so most of the seats were already taken. As soon as we got on, the interior lights went out. After a while, my girlfriend, who was sitting next to me, said in a hushed tone,
Ouch. Ow.
The interior of the bus was pitch black, but she sounded so distressed that I turned to ask her what was wrong.
The front seat is hitting against my knee.
I reached down toward the darkened area where her knee hit the seat. It seemed the seat in front of me reclined to its furthest point. I was about to ask the guy sitting in front of me to move the seat up a bit, but the seat in front of me suddenly reclined and hit my leg, causing pain. Ow! Excuse me, could you move your seat up a bit? Because it's a Red-Eye Express, the passengers around us were fast asleep. So as not to disturb the other passengers, I tried to ask the person in front in a hushed tone, but I got no response from them. I tried several times after that, but the people in front continued to ignore me. But we eventually came to a scheduled rest stop at a service area. The guys up front rose without fixing their reclined seats and headed towards the restrooms. I looked out and checked these guys out. The two cheeky-looking guys were dressed kind of flashy, with dyed hair. My girlfriend and I were stuck in our seats because of the fully reclined seats. I called out to the driver in a loud voice, "Excuse me, driver! Could you get over here?" The bus driver came over immediately. I explained the situation to the driver, and he quickly returned the seats to their upright positions. I looked down at her knees, and they were red and chafed. After a while, the two guys came back to the bus, jabbering about something. The bus driver confronted the two young men as they returned to their seats. "Please recline your seats so that you don't inconvenience the person behind you."
We're paying customers. We can recline our seats however we like.
"When there are other passengers behind you, we ask that you be a bit more considerate."
Then why the hell does the seat recline in the first place? I mean, that's the purpose, right?
As I said, when there are passengers behind you, we ask that you refrain from reclining the seat fully. When no passenger is present, you're free to do as you please.
What? Why do we have to worry about other passengers? You jackass!
I can certainly understand that passengers would want to recline their seats. After all, it is the Red-Eye Express. But I was irritated by these guys, who didn't give a crap about reclining the seats, causing discomfort, and not even giving a second thought to the concerns of others. But our seats were already decided, and there was nothing we could do. I lowered my head politely and said, "Excuse me, but would you please just raise it a bit? Please? I'm asking you nicely." The two young guys just let out an exasperated sigh and simply sat down. I figured that the driver had clearly warned them, so I believed the situation had been resolved. As we got underway, the interior of the bus went dark again. When the bus's engine started up, and I finally thought I could get some sleep, pain suddenly shot up my leg, even worse than before. "What the hell? Freaking hurts like hell!" I looked down to see that the guy in front had reclined his seat to the fullest, jamming it against my knee. On top of that, he was standing there, pressing the seat hard, forcibly reclining it even further. I aggressively forced the seat back because of the pain. When I looked over at my girlfriend, the same thing was happening to her.
Ow! Please, someone. Please help.
Upon hearing this distressing cry, the bus driver immediately turned on the lights. The other passengers also woke with a start, and there was a sudden concern in the air. We asked the driver to have our seats changed, but the driver said there were no other seats available. In addition, the driver offered us a small jump seat as an alternative. Would this be a better option? My girlfriend and I were dumbfounded by the driver's response. Why the hell would you offer us the extra jump seat? Why not make the two jerks sit in them? No matter how you look at it, those two are in the wrong. When the two young kids heard what the driver had said, they said,
Awesome! Now we can recline our seats as much as we want.
Great. I know. Boy, these people are super annoying, for sure.
On top of that, they said,
Bro, I can't believe you got the balls to always do this.
Yeah, well, we don't do this. How can we get enough sleep? With that, they snickered and laughed as if they had somehow won an argument. The driver looked a bit apprehensive upon hearing their comments. He had no response to their inconsiderate comments, maybe because he thought it was too much trouble to take it any further. Why do we have to sleep in these extra seats? We're the victims here! Those two are the culprits! We tried pressing our concerns, but the driver turned to us and explained that we were the ones that made the reservation, and that if we were not happy with the seats, we would have to be the ones to switch to the extra seats. I immediately told him that it was not fair. He gave us two choices. Either we get off the bus, or simply just accept this seating arrangement. I felt the driver had suddenly turned his back on us, and to make matters worse, the two jerks sat there snickering at our predicament. I just could not accept the situation, and I certainly couldn't let my girlfriend simply continue to endure it either. But we couldn't just simply get off the bus. Right when I thought I may as well throw in the towel and just sit in the tiny jump seat, the young guys in front of us yelped, "Ow! What the hell do you think you're doing?" When I looked over at the guy, I could see that the passenger in front of him had reclined his seat to its full extent, hitting the young guy in the knee. "Hey, jerk! Lift the seat up, would ya?" A physically imposing guy stood and turned toward him and said in a low voice,
I thought it was free to recline my seat as much as I want. You got a problem with that, buddy?
The two young guys looked pretty flustered. To be honest, I was a bit shaken too. The guy looked over at my girlfriend and asked,
Could you switch seats with me? I prefer the back seat myself.
My girlfriend looked at him in surprise.
What? Really? You don't mind?
I'm the one asking you for the favor. I hope you'll forgive me for my rudeness. And you too, bud.
There was another guy sitting next to the man, and he also stood up abruptly. And without saying a word, they offered us their seats.
Oh yeah, and you can leave the seat as is. It seems you can recline the seat however far back you please.
With that, they changed seats with us. We promptly accepted their offer and sat in the newly acquired seats. But I could not ignore the two who were so kind. From the back, I could hear,
How am I supposed to sit here with the seat reclined so far back?
The man's reprimand seemed to work wonders as the two punks replied, Sorry, sir, right away! And immediately returned the seat to its upright position. The two guys looked really uncomfortable with our seats reclined way back. All I could hear was a muffled sound behind us. Ow! Then, from behind, the young guy asked hesitantly in a low murmur, could you raise your seat back up a bit? The older guy sitting in the back heard the whole thing.
What the hell are you saying? The driver just said earlier you've got two options. Either you sit in the jump seat, or you get off the bus.
Sorry, sir. This seat's just fine. I love it. With that, the lights went out, and everyone, well, almost everyone, finally got to rest. We finally arrived at our destination the next morning. Maybe it was because of the uncomfortable seating position, but the two young guys got off the bus looking weary from the lack of sleep, and their bodies stiff as a board. We also got off the bus and turned to thank the older man for his kindness. Thanks for all your help, sir.
No need to apologize. Anyway, are your girlfriend's knees okay? I mean, she was crying, wasn't she?
Yes, sir!
Thanks so much. And I was able to sleep quite well thanks to you.
I'm glad to hear that. At that moment, the driver walked by. That's when the older man confronted him.
Hey you, bus driver! Have you ever heard of being flexible when the circumstances require it? How could you back down from those two punks and treat these two decent folks with such disdain? Do your damn job!
The driver looked very pale and pretty shaken.
I'm so sorry for that. Okay, you guys have a good trip.
Yes, sir. Thanks. The older man was greeted by an assistant of some sort and got into a big black car and drove away. Not sure if he was a company president or something, or maybe a scary dude. I'm not sure. But he definitely helped us in a difficult situation, that's for sure. We almost had to attend the wedding feeling blue, but thanks to that guy, we were able to attend the wedding with joy in our hearts.
How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.